Hello YouTube, I'm your Huckleberry, and this is the Spyderco Sage 5. Let's get into some specs. We're looking at just over 7 inches in overall length with a 3-inch blade length. We're looking at 0.12 on the blade thickness there. And we do have a CPM S30V blade that is in kind of one of Spyderco's leaf shape that they use quite often. That's a really good, useful blade shape. And it is full flat ground with a satin finish. We have a carbon fiber G10 laminate handle scales here. And it does have stainless steel liners, and it is a compression lock. All right, let's get a weight for the Sage 5 here. Bring in our AccuWeight scale and see what we get here. All right, we're looking at right about 3.1 ounces. So a nice weight there for a 3-inch blade. Looking at about 3.1 ounces. And let's do some size comparisons. Here it is against the Kershaw Leak. So there you go. In terms of overall length, it's very similar to the Leak there. Overall length, blade length, pretty spot on comparison there. Here it is against, let's do the Spyderco Sandwich. Gonna have 3 Spydercos out here. There it is against the Para 3, lightweight, and the PM2. You can see they're pretty close to the Para 3 there in terms of blade length, overall size. The Para 3 is going to be lighter because this is the lightweight version, but pretty close there in terms of just overall length. And of course, it is going to be smaller than the PM2 there in just about every way. And then let's do one more size comparison. How about one here? How about the Cold Steel AD15? And it is definitely smaller than the AD15. Of course, the AD15 here is a pretty hefty, heavy-duty knife that I really like, by the way. And so there you go. There's your size comparisons. Okay, let's get into the pros and cons of the Sage 5. The handle texture. I really like the texture of this handle. It feels good. It's got enough texturing that it provides good traction when using it. It feels good in hand. It's not so rough that it's going to tear up your pockets of your pants at all, but it is textured enough that it does give good traction when using it. The ergonomics of this knife, really good. When you don't choke up, I still got pretty much a 4-finger grip. My pinky's hanging off there a little bit, but I do have extra large hands. And so I wear a size extra large glove, and so you could see there. And so that's pretty good. And when I do choke up, I definitely got plenty of room there, and it feels good in hand. The ergonomics feel good. It feels balanced. The fit and finish of it, very nice. All these corners are chamfered, nicely rounded. Doesn't feel, no hot spots whatsoever. Feels really good in hand. And so this is a nicely, kind of typical Spyderco fit and finish. Feels really nice. And it's got good ergos. I like this finger choil. Spyderco does about the best finger choils and jimping, because I also like the jimping, of just about any company consistently. Their finger choils are useful. They have good jimping. Their jimping is useful. It is sharp enough that it really provides good grip and traction there if you're bearing down on it. I love that they put the same kind of jimping underneath on the finger choil there so that your hand really locks in there. I have no worries whatsoever that no matter how hard I'm using this knife and having to cut, that my hand is going to be locked in and it's not going anywhere. Spyderco is about the best that there is when it comes to that. Every one of their knives that have the finger choil and the jimping, just about everyone, have been really good. So they're about the best production company in the business when it comes to finger choils and jimping, in my opinion. The wonderful wire clip that I love so much, it is a loop over deep carry clip. And the wire clip is just perfect because it's unobtrusive. It slides in and out easily. It adds very little weight. The wire clip is just one of the best clips that Spyderco does. It's one of the best clips in production knives, period, is the Spyderco wire clip, in my opinion. I just love the wire clip. I like the lanyard hole position because we're not sacrificing clip position for lanyard hole position. So that's about as best a place as it could be, as good a place as it could be. The lanyard hole right there. It is a little bit on the smaller side, but that's okay. I mean, you could still get your 550 cord through there. So it's not going to be a problem whatsoever. And that's just a really good position. I hate it. Sometimes, and Spyderco's guilty of this sometimes, where they sacrifice lanyard hole position for, they sacrifice clip position for lanyard hole position. And that's, and this is coming from a biased place because I'm not someone who runs a lanyard on my knives typically. But I just always prefer clip position over lanyard hole position. And here, I think that's good because you haven't sacrificed that, but you still get a lanyard hole there. And so that's good. I like the lanyard hole position. This is a slicey blade. Spyderco's leaf-shaped full flat ground blades do tend to be pretty slicey. And so this is no exception. It's got a decent stock there. And again, it does have that full flat grind. And so this does make for a good cutting tool, which is what a knife in the simplest form should be, is a good cutting tool. And this is definitely it. S30V, a very good, well-tested blade steel. S30V and S35 you will never hear me complain about on knives because they just work. They're just workhorse blade steels that are going to be pretty decent to sharpen. They're going to hold an edge for a good amount of time. If you take care of it, it'll last you, as long as you want to. The reason these blade steels work so well is because they were specifically made for cutlery by Crucible and Chris Reeve. Chris Reeve, that of Sabinza fame, worked with Crucible to make those two steels, specific S30V first, then S35VN later, specifically for the cutlery industry, and they just work. And so, this comes in at about $152. The Sage does, and that's a perfectly acceptable steel. At that price and just about any price, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I'm just not going to complain about S30V or S35VN. They're really good steels, all around steels, if you ask me. I do like that this is simple construction. You just got the two screws here, and this baby comes apart. And it's easy to take apart, easy to maintain. You got phosphor bronze washers. And so you get a decent action. And it is a little stiff right now because I haven't adjusted the pivot, but I mean, you can adjust it to your liking. But I mean, you're getting good action on the phosphor bronze washers. It's easy to disassemble. It's easy to maintain. This is just a really good overall knife. And I don't have a lot of complaints about it. The Spidey hole, a little sharp. Nothing terrible, nothing bad, just something that I kind of noticed that it's a little sharp around the edges here. But other than that, I mean, this is a good knife. It is a good overall size. 3 inches of blade is going to be plenty for most people in their everyday task. It carries really easily, really well. It is a really good overall knife, and that's what's going to make what I say next sound kind of contradictory. But for whatever reason, and this is not really a knock, this is kind of a personal thing on my part, it just doesn't do a lot for me. I mean, I don't really have any negatives besides the Spidey hole being a little sharpened. I mean, that's nitpicking at that point. And you just saw all the positives that I listed there. I mean, milled liners to help keep the weight down. You can see in there, they're milled out well. It's got a lot of features that I like. Wire clip, good blade steel, decent price, compression lock. But for whatever reason, this knife, it just doesn't do it for me. There's just quite a few others in my personal collection that over the time, and I haven't had this knife for too terrible long, for a little bit here, a couple weeks. But it just doesn't do it for me. I just, when I'm going through the knife case there and looking, I've got some that I need to review, and I've got some from my personal collection, and I'm trying to decide what I want to carry for the day. This is just one that gets passed over. And I don't know why. It's got a lot going. It's a great knife. It really is. I mean, it's got just about everything that I like in a knife. I mean, the size, the weight, the materials, the fit and finish, everything about it is just really good, but just for whatever reason, and like I said, this is a personal thing. This is not, this is not really this is a subjective thing. This is not an objective thing, because all the objective parts are there, but subjectively, for whatever reason, it just doesn't do it for me. And I think it's probably because the more that I've thought about it, it's probably because of the Para 3. Because again, these are going to serve kind of essentially the same purpose, because they're about the same size. You've got about the same blade length, cutting length. Everything about them is very, very similar. This one's going to be lighter and a little bit easier to carry. Not that this is heavy by any means, but this is going to be lighter. And there's just something about the Para 3 that does it for me more. This has even got a better blade steel. You know, a little bit. As far as blade steels go, you know, I'm not a metallurgist, but, you know, I would say that S30V is probably going to be a little bit more premium than the BD1N. But I find myself that I would grab the Para 3 more often. If it came down to a choice between these two, that I would go with this one. It's going to be a little bit cheaper. The materials are probably just slightly below what the Sage is. You know, with the FRN, which is, I mean, let's be real, it's plastic. And the BD1, which is just a little bit under, you know, S30V. But I would still go with the Para 3. There's just something about it, and you know, that I can't really explain. As you can tell, I'm kind of just sitting here stumbling around, rambling. But there's something about it that I just can't explain that I just like better than the Sage. Even though that they would serve about the same purpose in a collection, because they're about the same size, same weight, same blade length, all that. I would go with the Para 3. It's a little bit cheaper, a little bit lighter, and it just, for me, between these two, I would go with the Para 3. Because just for whatever reason, something that I can't really explain, the Sage 5 just doesn't do it for me. I don't know why, but that's just the way that it is. But objectively, fantastic knife. I mean, it's got everything that you want. The price is fair. The materials are good. The size is great. Fit and finish, ergonomics, everything. So if this is a style, if you're looking at this and you're like, wow, I really like the way this knife looks, you should buy it, because I don't think that you're going to be disappointed. It's going to be useful. It's going to work for you. It is a great overall knife. Subjectively, meaning just my opinion, it just doesn't do it for me. But other than that, it's a great knife. And if it's something that you look at and you say, yeah, you know, I want to give that one a chance, I would say you go ahead and spend the money on it, because I don't think you'll be disappointed. I really don't. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. If you hated it, give me a thumbs down. Let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Hit the subscription and the notification bell if you want to be notified each and every time that I release a new video. Thank you very, very, very much for watching and supporting and subscribing and commenting and all that. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye.